Hello. Today we're going to talk about what type of tools you should buy if you're purchasing your first tool set to become a professional mechanic. This is a question that I had years ago when I decided to become a professional mechanic as well. I got a lot of advice, however, not a lot of it was the best, and I feel like I have a different take on it which might be beneficial for you. So in this video I'm going to go through my tools, what I have, certain things. I have different drawers that are marked with tags that we're going to go through. Other drawers don't have much or just bits and pieces in them. First of all, the thing you're going to be worried about is the toolbox itself. What should I buy? How much should I spend? The big thing about toolboxes, everything, it's a very expensive venture to get into. So if you're just starting out, you need to do it as cheap as possible and as effective as possible. Back to the toolbox here. I just have a simple Craftsman box, nothing fancy about this box whatsoever. The drawers on this don't have any ball bearings. There's nothing fancy at all. The only thing that I do have that's kind of interesting about these drawers is the layer that's down beneath. It's actually indoor-outdoor carpet. This is a great way to protect your tools, get everything to stay in place in your toolbox. It's a lot better than the little kits you buy at the store that are just made out of rubber, and the rubber flops around all over the place. Highly recommend doing that to your toolbox. Alright, let's start up top here. We're going to go through a few different things as far as things don't do and don't buy. I have a 3/8" ratchet right here. I love this ratchet. I have used it like there's no tomorrow. The nicest thing about it is the head swivels, so you can actually turn this into a speed wrench as well. And it's pretty long, so you have some leverage so you can do some extra stuff with it. Alright. Now there are also certain things you do and don't want to buy. As you can see here, I have swivel sockets that are specific for each size that's needed. 9/16, ½ inch, so on and so forth. That is a particular type of tool that I would recommend not purchasing in a kit. Only purchase what tools you need for what you're working on. I used to work in a boat rental agency and only worked on a few different units, so I only needed a few different tools to do that work. This is another example. Say if you want to be a Honda motorcycle mechanic, you're only going to use certain sizes of tools: 8mm, 10mm, 12mm, so on and so forth. Here's some different things you're going to need: adapters, just in case you come across some stuff that you don't really have the particular right size wrench or socket. Different scenarios you're going to need. Also, you have some swivel sockets here. They're really handy as well. They're universal, unlike these over here. And if you'll notice, these are made out of a black steel, and they're made for impact wrenches. Basically, you can use them conventionally, obviously, without having an impact wrench. The biggest thing about tools like this, or this particular nature, they're used for impact or abuse tools, do not buy them from a major brand. I recommend going and get them anywhere you can find them as cheap as possible. One great example is Harbor Freight. Any of your consumable tools, you do not want to pay full price at, for instance, Craftsman Snap-on. It's just a waste of money to start off with. Though you will have better quality out of the better brands, however, your money starting off will disappear really fast. Alright, you're obviously going to need some adjustable wrenches, things of that nature. That way you can get around not having certain tools to start off with as you build up your tools as far as what you need. Alrighty, next, a must-have for all mechanics is a set of picks. As you can see here, I have a scribe. Let me get my finger in here a little better. I have a scribe, just a regular straight pick, hook pick, and a 90-degree pick. This particular hook pick right here gets used very, very, very often. It gets used so much, in fact, that I actually have another hook pick right here, just in case one of them breaks. That way I can get the other one repaired. Alright, on to the next drawer here. This is where I just keep my screwdrivers. All kinds and different shapes and types of screwdrivers are very handy, conventional. They're not a waste of money if you purchase them. You can just get a standard kit from wherever you like to buy them. I do recommend buying these. Here's a particular screwdriver that I love. It's a stubby ratchet screwdriver. It is great. It does a wonderful job. You can use it for many, many different things. This screwdriver has been awesome. I've used it very, very much. They are kind of pricey. I wouldn't recommend buying one right off the bat, but if you get into a lot of stuff where you need to use some sort of a tool like this, it is great. I think these things are about $60 or $70 through Snap-on. But they're great. They have little gear teeth in them. They move just ever so slightly. You can really get it to do what you need to do really fast. Alright, so there's my drawer of screwdrivers. Here's one thing you do not want to buy, in my personal opinion. I purchased these Allen head T wrenches, and I have not used them at all. It was nothing but a huge waste of my money. I do not recommend buying these unless you're doing specialty stuff, working in a machine shop where you actually need these, that type of thing. They sit here, they're a waste of this. Let me shut that drawer. Alright, next. Here's pretty much my metric set of tools here, basic hand tools. Once again, I would just recommend getting a standard set of basic mechanical tools, things of that nature. And also, the biggest thing about this particular aspect is you need to get organizers. If you don't have organizers, you're going to be searching and searching for tools all the time. You're not going to be able to get to your tools in a timely fashion. These are about the cheapest organizers you can find. There are definitely a lot more expensive ones out there that are better and quicker. However, these are pretty fast to get to all the tools that you need. As you can see, I have them set up here to where they're all different sizes. Let me get to a bigger set here. As you can see, I have them set up in different sizes. Let's just say here's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 millimeters. And the big thing you notice about this is that they alternate between 12 point and 6 point. This is really great. If you know where they are, you can just say, oh, here's my 12 millimeter. Grab it and go. Also, I have the 12 point here beside it because sometimes you get in certain situations where the ratchet on your screwdriver will not actually be able to get enough clicks to actually turn something. So sometimes you do have to go with the 12 point. And as always, all mechanics know, and you will know if you don't know already, you always use a 6 point socket if you can actually get that on there. 12 points just round your nuts off and bolts off, and they're not very good. Anyway, back to what I'm saying here as far as organization. Organization is key. That way you can get to your tools quickly, not fumbling around. That way you can make money and you can also please your customers faster. So that's a big thing to get these. These particular pieces right here, they don't really come in handy too awful much. Generally, you'll come across a size that's used a lot. What's this one right here? Let's say it's for instance, like an 8 millimeter. You might use this one a lot, you might not. 5/16 is what I use a whole lot for hose clamps and whatnot. That really comes in handy for those types of situations. Also, I believe it's a 6 millimeter nut driver is really handy as well for hose clamps and metric situations. Anyway, so just kind of here's an idea of organization. I just open this drawer up, go in there, grab what I need, get right back out. I don't spend any time in my drawer whatsoever. Here's an example of a drawer that I don't use so much. My standard set, American English unit ratchets and whatnot. I hardly ever use this drawer, so I don't really mind going in here and fumbling around through trying to figure out what I want. I just hardly ever use this stuff whatsoever. As you can see on my larger stuff that you would use from time to time, I do have these. Actually, a buddy of mine gave me these extra organizers here. If not, then they'd just be laying around all inside my drawer as well. Once again, I just don't do it that much. And here's a nut driver I was talking about earlier. This 5/16, I use this nut driver all the time. So just getting a basic set of tools like that is going to be very handy for you. Alright, down to the next thing. Here's where I keep most of my basic hand tools as far as pliers, diagonal cutters, things of that nature. One thing you're definitely going to want to get as far as being a mechanic are the set of pliers right here. It's just a straight needle nose plier. As you can see, let me try and get it on my hand here as far as how long they are. These are very, very beneficial. Here's a 45-degree set, and also here's a 90-degree set. These are handy for pulling hoses. You can grab a hose, pull it off, many things you can do with these. I do not recommend spending much money on these either. Once again, go to the cheapest place you can find these. These are very handy, you need them, no doubt. I do not recommend abusing these two whatsoever, use them for delicate situations. However, the 90-degree set, I do recommend abusing quite a bit. Use it as you need to. I'd just tear these things up. However, these I don't. I try and keep them nice and pristine. That way, if I need to grab something that's way down inside of a hole that I can't really get to with my fingers, I can get to it easily. I can make sure that I'm holding on to it. And I'm not, also, of course, try not to damage. That's kind of hard to do that. Sorry, I'm doing it by myself today. Try not to damage the little teeth in there as well that actually provide the grip that you need. I do have a set of pliers here that I do quite enjoy. I use them and abuse them. This particular set's by Snap-on. It's a little bit expensive. They have not ever broken on me. They've been great pliers. If you did have an extra $1 or $2, I would recommend getting a set of those. Of course, you're going to need some good old side cutters, regular old duckbill pliers, nothing fancy. You're always going to need a set of these. That way you can break loose hoses and whatnot off of fuel nipples, things of that nature. Couple sets of dikes, that way if you break one, you're good to go. A big screwdriver is always really handy to have. And also, can't ever forget the magnets. Gotta have a magnet. Inspection mirror, very handy. This mirror is very cheap, but it has saved me plenty of time. Another magnet. Wow. Alright, next. I'm going to jump down here just a little bit, just kind of show you a little bit more organization, a few different tools to get. Going on the going on these T-handle Allen heads that I bought and I hate, I purchased a set of these. They just simply go on your socket, and these things are great. I use them all the time. This is definitely a must for someone that's starting off setting up their tool set. Mainly the big example here is just to show you more of my organization within this particular drawer. You can actually utilize, if you find a good set of tools that's set up for you, you can actually use what they come in to organize it, which is really nice. Here's an example of some gear wrenches. These things are awesome. You can get them from different manufacturers, different brands and whatnot, but this is one of my favorite tools right here. If you're just starting out and you're going to be a professional mechanic, I recommend getting these. These do not have reverse on them to where you cannot switch the direction. If you want to switch the direction, you simply flip it over and that actually changes the direction where you're taking on or off. I've only had one situation to where I made a mistake and I backed out a nut too far to where I couldn't get the wrench off. Thankfully I noticed it in time. I was able to beat it off with a hammer and it didn't damage the wrench, so it's a pretty good buy. As you can see, I'm missing a couple here. One's been misplaced and I actually dropped one in the lake. So that one's not coming back anytime soon unless I go purchase some more. I love this particular setup here as well. I have my metric box end wrenches on it. I love it because all I have to do, if I'm not sure what size I'm working on something new, I just grab it and go. Don't have to worry about anything. Same with anything in this drawer. I can just grab it, pick it up, take it to where I'm working. And of course the speed of which I can grab it out of there without having to worry about anything. Alright, let's get here to this drawer. Not really much, it's kind of just some junk in here. Let's see here. Dead blow hammer. It is a must. Definitely get one of these. I was told to buy one of these when I was starting out as a mechanic. I didn't believe them, and it has been great. It's been a lifesaver. It's a really, really, really good hammer to use as far as that goes. Alright, down here to the next thing. Snap ring pliers. You need these. I do recommend going ahead and get a nice set of them. You have different sizes. There's your 90-degree angle. You have your straight. And then you have your 45-degree angle as well. 45 degrees. And these are just duplicates. They're small set, but they're duplicates. I do recommend getting these. These are reversible. You can actually squeeze a plier or spread a plier with these, just depending. All you have to do is take this bolt out right here, flip it over. Pretty self-explanatory on that. Alright, next is something you're definitely going to need. Had an issue with my recorder there. Anyway, this is another tool you're going to need, a tap and die set. You're going to run across other mechanics out there that are going to tear up your nuts and bolts for you. Strip them out, whatnot, so you're definitely going to need a set of these. That way you can fix it in a timely manner. Pretty simple set here. Of course, as always, just get a regular old set. Snap-on actually had a pretty decent price on this, so it wasn't too bad. Nothing too fancy. Of course, there's no warranty on this type of stuff as it is consumable, so this is something where you could save money to start off with. This one came in very handy, very, very handy. Actually, when I was working at the rental agency, I came behind another mechanic that tore up a whole lot of stuff, and I use that a lot to fix things. Oops, wrong drawer there. Alright, now down to the last drawer here. You're going to need some air tools. Just be careful what you buy. You can get different things that don't really matter. Unfortunately, this is a part where it's going to cost you some money. For instance, like here I have a Snap-on MG31. This is an old model. I love this thing. I found a great deal on it. I actually got it at the Snap-on truck for a very cheap price. It works great. Works great. The biggest thing you need to understand about impact wrenches and air tools is that they operate differently. If you go buy a cheap set from, let's say, a hardware store or something like that, a real cheap brand, it's not going to do anything. You can actually do more with a wrench than you can with an impact wrench. I recommend going with a good brand. If you can find something used, that's great. You know, Chicago Pneumatic, Snap-on, things of that nature, Ingersoll Rand. All those are good companies that actually make really good air wrenches. And of course, as you notice as you shop around, you'll figure out what to do. What size you need depends on what you're doing. I usually do, like I said, smaller stuff, so this particular 3/8" drive impact wrench right here is great as well. Battery powered tools are great as well for doing things. Once again, you don't have to get them right away. You can see how you like being a mechanic, see if it's something which you actually want to go for. Another thing you need to get here is a set of bearing race drivers. These are very handy as well. They're pretty cheap, pretty inexpensive. You'll use these quite a bit. Once again, not something to get right off the bat. We can make do with other things that are laying around the shop, I'm sure. Alright, let's see here. Skipped one drawer in here because I didn't mark it like I was supposed to do. Here's something else that's going to be very, very beneficial. Go ahead and get this as well. This is going to be your compression test kit right here. This is a relatively cheap model, but it's been working out great for me. It has all the different types of attachments for it as well. If you'll notice, I have 2 extra attachments here. Now I have those attachments here because of a simple problem that you're going to run into.
Most of these kits give you an adapter to go to a different size. Well, what happens if you're way down inside of a cylinder head and you try to unscrew this adapter? Your adapter is going to get stuck down inside the motor, so therefore you are stuck. So the greatest thing to do is just go ahead and buy these other adapters with it, the ones that are the same size as the adapters here, and that'll make your life much easier. Well, if anyone has any comments, please add them to the comments below. What I'm going to do is I'll read through the comments. Anybody else has any really good ideas as far as what to do, starting out with the Toolbox tool set and all that, I'll actually add those to the description down below. Like I said, if anybody has any other thing to say, like I said, if I think it's legitimate enough, I'll definitely put it in there. So definitely want to look down to the description portion for additional information, as this will probably be kind of an ongoing thing. Different people say different things, which is going to be good. Maybe we can get some good responses out of this. Sounds great. Y'all take it easy.